The Alpine Tundra is a natural region biome that is characterized by its high altitudes. As you can see in these pictures, the Alpine Tundra is above the tree line, therefore it contains very little natural growing trees. Due to intense radiation, strong winds, cold temperatures, and precipitation involving snow and ice, alpine vegetation is close to the ground and consists mainly of perennial grasses and low-lying hedges. This map shows parts of the world in which alpine conditions can be found. This is the Rockies of western North America, the Sierra Nevadas of California, the Himalayas of Asia, the Alps of Switzerland, and the Rift Mountains of Africa, just to name a few. What's interesting about the Alpine Tundra is that it is the tallest life zone and can be found at any latitude on Earth. The elevation of the Alpine Tundra differs depending on where you are on the Earth's surface. Although this is the case, this picture demonstrates that on Mount Washington, found in New Hampshire, the Alpine Tundra begins at 52 degrees north. As mentioned earlier, however, this is not the case in other mountain ranges. In comparison to other biomes, the Alpine Tundra is one of the coldest natural regions. Its mean annual temperature ranges anywhere from -5 to -15 degrees Celsius. Barrow, Alaska is a part of the world that contains alpine tundra-like characteristics. Throughout the year, temperatures are often well below freezing. Only in the summer months of June, July, August, and September does the average temperature reach above zero. Throughout the year, this part of Alaska receives very little precipitation. Annually, it receives less than 20 centimeters of precipitation. Soil in the Alpine Tundra is quite variable and differs throughout the year. Some areas and valleys that have been scoured by glaciers contain barely any soil. Unglaciated areas, however, contain mature residual soils that are fertile and play host to low-lying grasses. These fertile areas of soil are scattered in between rocks and brought to the surface from frost heave to form period-glacial features. During the Alpine Tundra's harsh winters, solid ice is found in almost all soils, and soil temperatures get low enough to form patches of permafrost. A common landscape feature of the Alpine Tundra are solifluction terraces. These occur where water-saturated soils move slowly down gentle slopes over permafrost. This is what separates the Alpine Tundra from the Arctic Tundra, the ability of the soil to drain more water. The limiting abiotic factors of the Alpine Tundra are its natural characteristics within themselves. With winds that can exceed up to 100 miles per hour and elevations as high as 10,000 feet, not all life can be supported by the harsh conditions that are the Alpine Tundra. Consumers in the Alpine Tundra tend to have to be very hardy. Carnivores, such as the wolverine, feed on porcupines, squirrels, beavers, rabbits, voles, shrews, even caribou. Unlike the carnivorous wolverine, reindeer are the herbivores of the Alpine Tundra. Their diet consists mainly of lichens and reindeer moss. Birds of prey such as the peregrine falcon take to the skies of the Alpine Tundra and feed on animals such as smaller birds, squirrels, mice, and shrews. Often considered the kings of the Alpine Tundra, grizzly bears are dominant in their carnivorous diet. They feed on large animals such as moose, deer, sheep, elk, bison, caribou, and even in some cases black bears. Producers in the Alpine Tundra such as the low-lying willow shrub, the alpine avens, the bright yellow snow buttercup, and the blue columbine flower provide food and protection for animals such as the chipmunk, mule deer, and elk. To survive the harsh conditions of the alpine tundra, animals such as the red fox and the gray wolf have adapted to have extremely thick, double-layered coats in order to survive the harsh and cold conditions. From the aspect of plants, they have adapted to grow in some of the coldest conditions of the world. These survival strategies, or cool growing tactics, are used by tundra plants to grow in temperatures around 15 degrees Celsius. As mentioned earlier, plants in the alpine tundra are small and low growing because the soil tends to not be that nutrient. Plants have adapted to use the absorbent soil of the alpine tundra to keep them from freezing. The plants also tend to be dark and hairy. The darkness of their color and flesh absorbs the heat from the sun, and the hair helps trap the heat and keep it close to the surface of the plant. This once again helps the plants from freezing during the alpine tundra's harsh, cold winters. The warmer the plant, the faster they tend to grow. This also points back to the reason why the alpine tundra plants are small and low growing. Some plants also grow in clumps in order to break the harsh winds which can reach up to 100 miles per hour. This helps protect the plants from the cold. These plants once again stay warmer. Human impact can be seen wildly throughout the alpine tundra. Humans often use these low-lying grasses to graze their cattle. This affects the structure and system of the ecosystem. A cause of this was an economic reason for humans. They needed their cattle to graze on fertile land so that they can become plump and fat enough to sell at market. This way, the farmers could then operate at a profit. An effect of this type of agriculture was that it took away necessary producers from animals such as elk, caribou, and reindeer. These once thriving animals found themselves in search for low-lying grasses that the cattle had taken from them. A possible solution to this practice is for farmers to replant the low-lying shrubs that their cattle and other animals are decimating from the face of the alpine tundra. Through this practice, the alpine tundra would now be able to support both the natural inhabitants and the invasive. Another way in which humans are affecting the alpine tundra is through the creation and construction of ski resorts, which in essence diminish the size of the alpine tundra. This has been caused through the human need of free time and leisure. An effect of this is decreased habitat size for previously discussed animals such as the red fox and the grizzly bear, not to mention smaller animals such as the shrew and chipmunk. A possible solution for these practices are for humans to be more aware about how construction affects the environment around them. The creation of something does not come without the destruction of something else. By being more aware of what we are doing through our attractions and resorts, we can lead to a better world. The marmot is an example of an organism that has suffered in the alpine tundra due to human action. The niche of the marmot is the rocky areas along the floor of the alpine tundra. The marmot hangs around in these areas both for food and protection. The Vancouver Island marmot is considered one of the most highly endangered mammals in the world. A population estimated to be over 300 mammals in the mid-1980s declined to less than 75 animals in 2001, 25 which were remaining in the wild. This placed the marmot on the endangered list in the early 2000s. Threats to the marmot were mostly human, as they were hunted for meat, fur, and fat. The Vancouver Island marmot is under strict supervision in national parks and zoos to ensure its safety. It is listed under Appendix 3 of the Berne Convention and is protected under national law in a number of range states. These are all efforts to ensure the safety of the marmot for years to come.